Good day, folks. This is your host, the motivational professional development guy. Today, we're going to discuss, are you ready to become a leader? Are you ready to become a leader? But before we get started, I have to ask you, if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to this podcast, whether it is SoundCloud, Radio Public, Red Circle, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts. Also, you can now check us out on YouTube as well. You can check the podcast out on YouTube as well as Spotify for podcasters as well. Check that out as well, folks. But once again, folks, this is your host, the motivational professional development guy. And today we're just going to discuss, are you ready to become a leader? Are you ready to become a leader? That is the topic of the day. So I always start off with the question, and I want you all to put that answer inside of the comment section. What is it you have done to prepare yourself to become that leader that you desire to be? What have you done to prepare yourself to become that leader that you desire to be? A lot of people want to be a leader, but are they willing to do what it takes? Right? And when we're talking about leadership now, we're talking about good leadership. We're talking about great leadership. Anyone can be a leader because you can just fall into that position. But does that mean that you're a great leader? Does that mean that you're someone that's doing an awesome job at it, right? That's what we're going to talk about. We're not talking about, someone just a leader just because of the role. We want a leader because of that's who you are, that's who you become, right? And you want to do a great job at it. So we want to talk about your interpersonal skills. And when we're talking about interpersonal skills, how good are you at communicating with people? Or do you communicate at all? Studies used to show years ago, 30, 40 years ago, they used to say that an introvert could not be a leader. They had to be an extrovert. Someone was very outgoing and energetic and just talk to everyone and, just a social butterfly, right? But of course, I said it was old studies, right? So now they don't say that anymore. Now they realize that you absolutely can be an introvert and become a great leader. You absolutely can. Because some people, although they come off initially being an introvert, like myself, right? They actually are extroverts, like myself. I'm very much an extrovert, believe that. Anyone that knows me will tell you he's an extrovert. I might come off at the beginning, but trust me, it doesn't take long. I'm an extrovert. So those things right there. So how good are you, or how willing are you to communicate with people? Because you have to be willing, right? You have to be willing to communicate with people. And if you look at any great leader, they are great communicators, right? Ronald Reagan, they called him the great communicator. And the reason they called him a great communicator, and that was a speechwriter, Ken Kashagan said that, and I want you all to listen to this. They said that Ronald Reagan had the ability and this is the key right here, determination to become a great communicator and get and to connect with his audience, which was, whether it was Congress or, other countries and things like that, to get what it is that he wanted to get. Right? Now, I'm not saying I was a Ronald Reagan fan or not. I'm not even talking about anything political. I'm talking about the man so far as him being considered a great communicator. And apparently he was one because that he was dubbed that. He was dubbed the great communicator because he was able to get things done. And that's what leadership is. Leadership is all about being able to get things done, being able to influence people. That's what leadership is. So how good are you at that? So if you ever want to truly become a good leader or a great leader or the ultimate leader, I suggest you work on your communication skills first. How well do you communicate with people? See, there's a difference between communicating and effectively communicating. See, when you communicate, you're sharing ideas and thoughts of that nature. But when you effectively communicate, you're conveying a message. The people that you're communicating to, they understand the message that you got, that you're giving them. They actually receive the message, right? And there has been a change. You see, whatever it was that you were communicating, it went into play. That's when you know you were an effective communicator, because it went into play. And the only reason it went into play is because they understood it. And the only reason they understood is because you communicated great to them. That's how that works. If the person or people don't understand, and there has not been any type of change in the direction that you're trying to lead them, or the conversation, or whatever it is you're trying to get done, then you have not communicated effectively. You haven't. And the communication, where effective communication is always on the leader. That is your responsibility. It is the leader's responsibility to ensure that they are communicating effectively. It's your responsibility, not the person who's receiving it. It's not. You're the one relaying the message. You're trying to get things done, right? So you have to be more intentional about your communication if you're trying to get a point across, if you're trying to get an idea across, if you're trying to get anything new, anything going, the ball rolling, whatever that is. You need to be more intentional about your communication, right? So in relationship, which leads to relationships, right? How good are you or at building relationships, right? Building relationships, developing relationships, and more importantly, sustaining relationships. We all know in business you have to do these things, right? And we're not talking about building relationships with just externally. We're talking about internally as well, with our internal customers, with our internal partners as well. Being able to build relationships with them and develop relationships first, right? Then once you develop that relationship, you want to build that relationship. Then after you build that relationship, then you want to sustain that relationship. How good are you at that? These are the type of things you have to work on if you want to become a great leader. Leaders get things done, period. They have a vision. Right? Leaders have vision. They're visionaries, right? They're more conceptual, right? So if that is the case, then they have to be able to communicate, right? Their vision, whatever it is, to make sure everyone understands it. If they want buy-in, they want people to move with them. Then they also have to be able to develop, build, and sustain a relationship, because you can't do it by yourself, right? You can't do it by yourself. So you have to be able to build those relationships, develop those relationships, and sustain those relationships to help you throughout the process for now and in the future. Again, externally and internally, you have to be able to build those relationships. You have to. Emotional intelligence. Let's talk about it. What level of emotional intelligence do you actually have? And I want you to be honest with yourself, right? People don't take into consideration that, as a leader, that you don't have to try to lead with fear, right? You want to be able to lead with influence. You want to be able to lead with motivation. You want to be able to lead with, with a style that people want to follow you, right? You want to be able to do those type of things. So your emotional intelligence plays a huge part in that. And when I'm talking about emotional intelligence, you all, yes, the word, I know most people think, yeah, you just talk about being able to control your emotions. Well, yeah, a little bit. But I'm talking about more. When I'm talking about emotional intelligence, I'm talking about how do you receive information? When you're good, bad, and different, how do you receive it? Information. How do you handle situations when they occur? If and when they occur, right? Because we know there's always something's going to happen, right? Conflict is unavoidable, right? So we know it's going to happen. Just depends on what level it is and what actually it is. But how do you handle information, situations when they come up? How do you receive it, and how do you handle it? Are you someone that always go from 0 to 100 just like that? Or are you someone that comes in calm, assess the situation, and see what's going on? Think about it. How many of you all know someone that every time they come to you, the building is always on fire? It's always the building's on fire, and then you go into that same situation, and you're like, what's the problem? I don't see. And you go in there and handle it just like that. That's emotional intelligence. You're going in assessing the situation. You're going in observing the data first. It's a process. Then you're finding out what's important here. What is it that we're focusing on? Why is this happening? Those type of things. That's what emotional intelligence does for you. How do you actually receive the information? Did you receive it, and just because that person brought it to you at 100, that you came in at 100? No. That's not a emotional intelligent leader. You have enough to deal with, right? I mean, everything is really ultimately is on your back when you're a leader. I mean, welcome to leadership, right? That's why we want to become one. That's why a lot of people don't want to become one, right? But when you make that choice, and thank you if you do, because we need more, right? How do you handle things? And here's the thing right here too. If you're someone who inspired to be a leader, and you decide, but you being real with yourself, the self-awareness. People always talk about self-awareness, right? So let's actually do that. Be honest with yourself. If you're someone, and you know that's you, that you always go from 0 to 100, just like that, work on that. Work on it. We all have something we need to work on, right? We always have something, everyone has something that they need to become better at. And the beautiful part about looking in that mirror and being honest with yourself is that no one has to know. But work on it and become better at it. You're like, you know what? I am someone who flies off this right here, but I know it never works out for me, right? Because the emotional decision is never a good decision, right? So I've walked in situations and I came in at 100, and the way I reacted caused more confusion, caused more chaos, and I really didn't get anything done. Really wasn't effective. So I learned from that, right? Right? So you know what? I'm going to work on myself on how I'm going to start handling things. First of all, how I'm going to start viewing things. Now, how I'm going to start handling things. And although the word is emotional intelligence, emotion is the first thing you want to take out of there. Say that one more time. Emotions is the thing that you want to take out of emotional intelligence. Because when you're reacting off emotions, then you're not thinking. You're not. And that's not going to allow you to become a great leader and be the leader that whoever it is that you're leading needs you to be. They need you to be that person. They need you to be more creative. You can't be creative when you have mess, junk, and chaos in your head. And everything is always, no, bring it down. You're supposed to be the calm one. You're supposed to be the cool, calm, collect one. The leader is. Yes, I know. With all the responsibilities you have, all the variables you have going on around you, you're supposed to be the calm one. Your people depend on it. Your people depend on you to be that person. Welcome to leadership. Welcome to leadership. Work on those things. But don't forget to leave in the comment section. What is it that you have done to prepare yourself to become that leader? What is it? I want to see it in the comment section. Folks, this has been your motivational professional development guy. Thank you for joining us each and every week. Once again, folks, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to this channel. We're on YouTube now, so you can check out the videos as well. We're going to be on Spotify podcast. We're on Spotify, all right? Still have the audios on that. Red Circle, Radio Public, Google Podcast is no longer anymore, so Amazon Podcast as well, and Apple Podcast. You can check us out on that. Please subscribe to it. Please don't forget to comment. If you have any topics that you would like for me to discuss, please let me know. And I'll be more than happy to do so as well. If you just want to give a shout out to me, let me do that as well. All right. And if you heard anything inside of this video, inside of this podcast that you like, please hit that like button as well. All right. We're just trying to spread this out to the masses. Every time you comment, every time you hit that like button, right? And hit that notification bell too, so you can start getting these videos each and every week. Don't forget to hit that notification bell, all right? Share this video and podcast to as many people as possible. Do that for your boy, all right? Just trying to spread this out to the masses, all right? Once again, folks, this has been your motivational professional development guy. Thank you for joining us each